Okay. Well, let's. Okay, continuing on class on immunity. Immunity is everybody. Immunity is defined as ability of body to resist infection. So it is classified into innate and acquired. Innate and acquired. It is classified into innate and acquired. So innate further classified into species, racial, individual. Acquired is classified into natural and artificial. This is also acquired is natural and artificial. The passive immunity, again active and passive, it is classified into active. Active immunity is by taking a vaccine. Active immunity is vaccine, whereas passive is preformed antibodies. So natural passive immunity example is fetus acquires through mother's milk. That is passive immunity. So before the discovery of penicillin, we used to give as a serotherapy. Serotherapy. We used to take the convalescent patient serum and inject into acutely ill patient. That is called serum. That is passive immunity. Passive immunity otherwise is also called as, is also by giving human immunoglobulin. Preformed antibodies are administered directly. So when you inject active vaccine, there is a production of antibodies. There is a production of antibodies. So immunity is defined as ability of body to resist infection. It can be innate. So innate is further divided into species, racial, and individual. Species, racial, and individual, and acquired is again active and passive. Active is by repeated subclinical infection. Active and passive. Active and passive. What is active? Either repeatedly with subclinical infection or vaccine, by taking vaccine. Passive, mother to fetus, bar or administration of human preformed antibodies, human immunoglobulins, preformed preformed antibodies. So vaccine already know, as soon as the baby is born, we give BCG and oral polio vaccine. 6th and 10th and 14th week we give pentavalent vaccine, that is DPT. DPT stands for diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus, and hepatitis B, Haemophilus influenzae and oral polio vaccine. 6th, 10th and 14th week. 9th month we give measles vaccine. 9th month we give measles vaccine. 12th month we give mumps, measles, rubella vaccine. 18th month we give DT, diphtheria and tetanus. And 6th year, 10th year and 16th year again we repeat DT, diphtheria and tetanus. Newer vaccine have come. That is rotavirus vaccine against diarrhea, viral diarrhea. Pneumococcal vaccine against pneumococcal meningitis, and MMR, that is mumps, measles, rubella, and 9th month we give measles vaccine. So if you are traveling to South Africa, you have to take yellow fever vaccine. At 3rd year we give typhoid vaccine. This is about briefly about. Now moving on to what is antigen. Antigen, antibody reaction. Antigen, what is antigen and what is antibody? Everybody, antigen is defined as any foreign substance able to produce humoral or CMI. So it has got two moieties. One is it should be foreign to the body. Second, it should be immunogenic. There are two types of immune response. How many types? Two types. One is antibody mediated. Antibody mediated. The second one is CMI. Cell mediated immunity. One is antibody mediated, another is cell mediated immunity. Antibody mediated, another one is cell mediated immunity. So there are whole like this. Everybody. There are 5 classes of immunoglobulins. How many classes? 5 classes. Immunoglobulins. So remember with the mnemonic, GAMED. So there are 5 classes of antibodies. First one is igG. igG. First one is igG. Next one is IgA. Third one is igM. IgE and IgD. How many classes of immunoglobulins? 5 classes. There are 2 types of immunity. One is cell mediated immunity, another is antibody mediated immunity. Cell mediated immunity, another is antibody mediated immunity. So they are called T cells because they are derived coast or tutored in thymus. Thymus is a rudimentary organisms. Why there is so much of noise? Why are you making so much of noise? Thymus is it's an organ which is present in front of the 3rd and 4th branchial arch, and there are lymphocytes which mediate cell mediated immunity, CMI, cell mediated immunity. There are two subsets, T4 cells and T8 cells. There are T4 cells and T8 cells. T8 cells are cytotoxic lymphocyte, and these are helper cells. These are called helper cells. And there are one more set of lymphocytes that are called natural killer cells. They are called as natural killer cells. There are subset of cells which are natural killer cells. Okay. Now B cells, these are called T lymphocytes. T cells, T lymphocyte, which mediate cell mediated immunity, Why you are talking so much? Huh? What is there to do? Stand up. Come here. Come here and sit here. What's your name? Huh? Mincy. Come here. Sit here. Which place you come from? Sit here. Which place? Huh? Kerala. Which part of Kerala? Ernakulam. Ernakulam. Which part of Ernakulam? Perumbavoor. Good. You all are going to Gulf. Huh? Better prepared. You understand nursing better. All of you go to Gulf. Not Gulf, Gulf. I was in Kerala for 7 years. Wayanad, Kalpetta, near Kalpetta. Okay. Okay. Now all my first year students are in Gulf. Okay. All of you are going to get a salary of 1 lakh. 1 lakh plus. I was in Gulf for 5 years. Gulf. So all are nurses from Kerala. So if you become a good nurse, I mean, you understand infection control, OT, and taking control of infection control, and all those things, you will be an asset to and you'll be a good ambassador from PS Medical College. Okay, the moment they say you are from PS Medical College, you are recruited. Okay, especially there are a lot of things. Infection control is very important in all corporate and NABH accredited. In fact, international bodies there, JC accredited. You are the first contact person. You are the person who is taking BP. You are the person who is doing dressing. You are the person who is giving injection. You are monitoring blood sugar levels. You are giving IV fluids. You do catheterization. So many things you are doing. You are the more than a doctor. You come in contact with. That's why we are teaching so much about microbiology. Microbiology is very important subject because in post-operative patient, if they get infected, they have to spend a lot of time in the hospital, leading to a lot of cost and wastage of, bed is occupied and even patient incurs a lot of money to save his life. So you play a very important role. That's why you're teaching microbiology in depth. So you are the person who collects the sample for doing the investigation, blood culture, urine culture, sputum culture. All these things are very important. That's why I told that the microbiology is a very important subject for nursing. Most of the time when you go to the Gulf countries or US, in fact my first batch students most of them are United States of America. They are earning in dollars. $1 is 70 rupees. Okay, they are earning 3-4 lakhs per month. Okay, now you are all going to get employment as soon as you finish 4th year your internship. Okay, so be good, learn something instead of talking chit chatting in a class. Learn something. Listen to this one evening 5 o'clock to next day morning 8 o'clock. You have enough time to do WhatsApp, Facebook, chit chatting. So many things you can do. This is a time you should concentrate on your study. When you are in the class, or when you are reading, you should concentrate instead of doing hurling and talking to each other. Enough time is there. No, in hostel, there is separate Malayali mess is there. Why don't you talk there instead of sitting in the class? Yeah? Okay. Now there is an organ called bone marrow. Bone marrow is inside the bones. So bone marrow, there are lymphocytes which get coached. They are called B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes, upon antigenic stimulation, they get transformed into plasma cells. Plasma cells are the storehouse of igG, igM, igD, igE, IgA. GAMED. Remember as GAMED. Remember as GAMED. Remember as GAMED. igG, igA, igM, igD, igE, igG, igM, IgA, IgD, IgE. They are the they are coached in B lymphocyte, bursa fabricius, similar to organ present in the birds. In human being, it is bone marrow. So it's very important. B lymphocytes mediate antibody mediated immune response, whereas T lymphocytes mediates uh, cell mediated immune response. So now moving on to the uh, structure and functions of immunoglobulins. A pair of heavy chain every day, a pair of heavy chain and pair of light chain held together by disulfide bond. They are held together by disulfide bond. It looks awkward. You can go and sit back to. Don't talk, please. Okay. A pair of heavy chain and pair of light chain held together by disulfide bond. Okay. So on pepsin and papain digestion, they are broken into C fragment, and these are called FAB fragment. A pair of heavy chain and pair of light chain held together by disulfide bond. A pair of heavy chain, pair of light chain held together by disulfide bond. So this is the structure of IgG. So this is the place where they fix complement. This is a place where they fix complement. This is the C part of the immunoglobulin. It is the antibody combining place. So different antibodies. So IgG has got two antibody combining sites. How many? IgG has got how many sites? Two. Next moving on to the IgA. IgA is also called as secretory antibody. IgA is called as, it is present in the secretions of human body. It is also called as local antibody. It is called secretory antibody. That is called IgA. Secretory antibody is IgA. It has got two IgG molecules held together by secretory piece. It has got 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the secretions of the body? What are the secretions of the body? Oral cavity, sebaceous, saliva, very good. Saliva, tears, sweat, saliva, sebaceous, vaginal secretions, all secretions of the body. So they are present in gastrointestinal secretions. So they are present in the secretion. They neutralize the organism at the site of entry. They neutralize the organism at the site of entry. And it has got how many sites? 4 antigen combining. It has got 4 antigen combining sites. How many? It has got 4 antigen combining sites. Moving on to igM. Moving on to the igM. It is called macroglobulin. It is present inside the blood vessels. It is present inside the blood vessels. It is present inside the blood vessels. And it is about 10%. IgG is about 90%. igM is about 10%. Okay. It is called microglobulin and it has got 5 molecules of igG. Held together by J chain. It is 5. It has got 5 molecules of igG held together by J chain. So it has got how many antigen combining site? 1, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 antigen combining. It has got how many sites? 10 antigens. Now moving on to the IgE. It is called as homocytotropic antibody. It is present on the mast cell. It is called homocytotropic antibody. It is present on the mast cell. You heard somebody immediately after giving injection dying in the clinic or a hospital. The process is called as anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis. Somebody goes to the clinic or hospital, takes an injection, before doing anything, he dies. Especially it is very common after taking penicillin injection. It can happen with any other drug. When you give an injection, immediately go for hypotension, cyanosis, and all those things. What is anaphylaxis? Anaphylaxis is defined as, it's an opposite terminology of prophylaxis. Prophylaxis is protection. Prophylaxis is protection. Anaphylaxis is destruction. So anaphylaxis is defined as exaggerated immune response towards already sensitized antigen resulting in tissue death or injury. It is called anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is it's very common with honeybee bites. So very careful be with the honeybee bites, as well as some people develop immediately when they are exposed to the pollen or congress grass, or whatever it is. Some people are allergic to some cosmetics. Some people are allergic to eggs. So it is very common phenomenon. It runs in families. Allergy runs in family. You must have heard about asthma. Asthma, you must have heard, no? Very common, especially Bangalore. Bangalore is called second after Sydney. Bangalore, Pune. They are very common as asthma because of air pollution as well as congress grass. The moment they come across pollen and they inhale, they start vigorously. They become breathless because of spasm of bronchioles. So this is responsible. This because the antigen antibody reaction occurs on the mast cells releasing histamine and 5-hydroxytryptamine. This is responsible for anaphylaxis. This is responsible for anaphylaxis. This is responsible for anaphylaxis. Ana. Prophylaxis is protection, anaphylaxis is destruction. Prophylaxis is protection, anaphylaxis is destruction. So you should be very careful whenever you are giving injection, and you should be ready with adrenaline, you should be ready with histamine. Sometimes the anaphylaxis is so severe, there is something called rib throat massage. You have to break the rib, put the hand into the thorax and do the hand. This is called rib throat massage. That is called rib throat massage, and all of you should get trained with CPR. You know what is CPR? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. All of them. So you are trained how to give injection, how to monitor blood sugar, how to give IV fluids, how to do the dressing, how to take the temperature, respiratory rate, and how to give, how to make a bed, how to keep yourself not get infected with the patient, or you should not give infection to the patient. There is something called body called OSHA. You heard OSHA? Occupational Safety in Hospital Administration. Occupational Safety in Hospital Administration. There is something called NACO, National AIDS Control Program, and there is something called needle stick injury. All of you are exposed to the NSI, needle stick injuries. That is NSI. There are three important infections that are transmitted. NSI is hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV. If somebody is having a HIV or hepatitis B or HCV, if you stuck with the same needle with the patient who is already having hepatitis B, C, and D, so you are likely to get needle stick injury. It happened with when I was working in Saudi Arabia. She stamped on a needle which was HIV positive and HCV positive hepatitis B. She was scared because she had given a lot of money to the agent to come to Saudi Arabia, and she did not want to reveal the needle stick injury to the hospital administration. After 6 months, she died of. She was from Kottayam. So she died of HIV after 6 months. So you should be very careful if you get needle stick injury. You should immediately go to the hospital infection control department and notify it. We'll take all the precautions what are necessary for what to do with needle stick injury, and we take care of you. That's very important. Okay. Now IgD, it is similar to igE, a pair of light chain and pair of, it is similar to that of IgE. So nothing much similar to IgG. Nothing much is known about IgD. So now in nutshell we'll finish the five classes of immunoglobulin. This is IgG, and this is IgG, this is IgA, this is both intravascular and extravascular. Most abundant antibody present in the human being. Most abundant antibody present in the human being. Most abundant antibody present in the human being. And it appears late, and it is called as chronic antibody. It appears late. It is called as chronic antibody. It appears late, and it is late in the antibody. If you want to go to US, these questions will be asked in the qualifying examination, whether you are trained in immunology or not. Okay, and it is chronic antibody. It is the only antibody that crosses the placental barrier. It's the only antibody that passes the placental barrier. It's the only antibody that passes the placental barrier. Okay, that's very important. Next is IgA. It is present in all secretions of the body. It is present in the all secretions of the body. What are the secretions he told? Gastrointestinal secretion, saliva, sebaceous and sweat glands, gastrointestinal secretion. It's called as local antibody. It neutralizes microorganisms at the entrance. It is present in the secretions. Next is igM. It is called macroglobulin. It is called macroglobulin. It is present inside the intravascular. It is present inside the blood vessels. It is present inside the blood vessels. Macroglobulin. It is present inside the blood vessels. Next is the homocytotropic antibody. Reagin antibody, homocytotropic antibody. It is present on the mast cell. It is present on the mast cell. It is present on the mast cell. It is responsible for the anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is defined as exaggerated immune response towards already sensitized antigen resulting in tissue death or injury. It is also defined as hypersensitivity. This is type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. This is a type 1, especially common with procaine penicillin and honeybee bites. Especially common with this. So always you should be ready with adrenaline and antihistaminics. So it releases histamine. Next one is IgD, similar to IgG. Now, T lymphocytes produce what is called as lymphokines. And they are responsible for intracellular killing of viruses and intracellular bacteria. T lymphocytes mediate cell-mediated immune response responsible for killing of intracellular bacteria and viruses, whereas antibodies are responsible for extracellular killing of the microorganism. Okay, extracellular microorganism of the bacteria. Now we'll study what is antigen. Antigen can be it is, as I said, antigen combining sites are 2 in igG, 4 in IgA, 10 in igM, and 2 in IgE, and 2 in IgD. Whereas it can antigen get attached to antibody from this place, this place, this place, this place, this place. So the where antigen combined with antibody, it is called as epitope. It is called as epitope. It is called as epitope. The firmness with which antigen antibody combine, the firmness with which antigen antibody is combined is called as avidity. The firmness with antigen combined with, so it can combine here, and antigen antibody reactions are reversible without alteration either in antigen or antibody. They are reversible without alteration in the antigen or antibody. Okay, now moving on to the antigen. Antigen, I said, should be in foreign in nature and it should be produced. It has got two moieties. One is it should be foreign to the body and should be able to produce either cell-mediated immune response or, so this is a This will make it listen to us and write down if important points. It's a foreign substance, and when introduced to the body, it should be able to react with the antibody in observable manner and induce antibody response and CMI, CMI or AMI. AMI, what is this? Somebody is remembering your boyfriend? Okay. Antigen. Antigen produce antibodies. So B cells have got immunoglobulin receptor, immunogen. So they should, I said it should be able to produce immune response. What is happening? Listen, I said there is enough time to talk. When you are in the class, at least attentive, okay? They should be able to produce immune response, either cell CMI or AMI. It should be able to produce immune response, either CMI or AMI. So, when it is given in the form of injection, vaccines, most of the vaccines are given in the form of injection so that better antibody is formed, or it can produce oral cavity. Oral polio vaccine is given orally. Immune response, it should be able to produce antibodies, and specific reaction to antibodies, this immunological activity. Now there are two types of antigen. One is complete antigen, another is incomplete antigen. Complete antigen, they produce antibody and react with antibody in observable manner. They produce antibodies and act in the observable manner. Hapten, they are incapable of inducting antibody. Greek, hapten means fasten. Hapten is immunogenic combined with larger molecule of carrier. So hapten can be made complete antigen if you tag them onto the bentonite latex particles, inert particles. Complex hapten precipitate a special antibody which is multivalent. Simple, non-precipitating, it's monovalent. So epitope, I said epitope is the smallest region where antigen combined with the antibody. It's the smallest region where antigen combined with the antibody. So it's very small amino acids, 4 to 5 amino acids, and they have a specific chemical structure, electrical charge, steric configuration sensitizing immunocyte reacts with complementary antibody. They react with complementary antibody. This is a small amount of place where it combines with the antibody. It's small amount of place which combines with the antibody. So epitope again, T cells recognize, that is CMI recognize sequential epitope and conformation epitope. Paraptope combining the area antibody corresponding epitope. Antigenic mosaic. Organism is made up of multiple antigens, not a single antigen. It is in the form of mosaic. Size of the antigen matters. Larger the antigen, bigger the antibody response. So lower molecular, weak antigens. Naturally occurring antigens, proteins are the better antigen compared to polysaccharides. Lipids, nucleic acids are less antigenic. So proteins are the good antigens compared to the carbohydrates and lipids. And the antigen should be broken down in the body so that it will produce antibodies. Antigen should be broken down in the body so that they will be able to produce immune response. Phagocytosis, who discovered phagocytosis? Ali Mechenkov. Engulfing a bacteria is called phagocytosis. So phagocytosis is an intracellular enzyme. Antigen is immunogenic fragment, and polypeptide D amino acids and non-antigenic amino acids are antigenic. Induced immune response, Ehrlich called as when our own antibodies produce against own antigen, it is called as, this gives rise to autoimmune disorders. This is called horror of autotoxicos. So we are tolerant to our own self antigens. So breakdown mechanism results in autoimmune disorder. So antigen is simple chemical grouping, and foreignness, forensic. It's, for example, at the site of murder, if they throw some sheep blood or dog's blood, we should be able to identify whether it's man blood, cow's blood, and it's species specific. Human blood will only match with human antigen, human RBCs, not with dogs and sheep RBCs. This is species specific. Antigen found on all the members of the cells. Human erythrocytes, blood grouping is done on the basis of antigen present on the. There are. It was who discovered blood grouping and RS system? Carl Landsteiner in 1900. There are 4 blood groups: A, B, AB, and O. A have A antigen, B have B antigen, AB has AB antigen, O has O antigen. There is one more antigen, it is called rhesus antigen. It's called as RH factor, and it is called RH factor because why it is called RH factor? Why it is called RH factor?
No antigen.
RH factor, it was found earlier in the monkeys, which belong to the race rhesus monkeys. RH monkey. 90% of Indian positive or Indian population are RH positive, 10% are RH negative. Anybody negative blood group here in this? Raise your hands. You checked your blood group. What is your blood group? A negative. A negative. Huh? Positive. I asked negative. A negative. Okay. Negative people are called as precious blood donors. In the case of emergency, they are blood, not in all blood donation clubs. Why should you donate blood once in a year or once in 6 months? Blood is going to be destroyed. Blood is going to be destroyed. Lifespan of RBCs is 120 days. So even if you do not donate blood, it is going to be destroyed in graveyard called spleen. Blood, everybody repeat: blood, flood, money, knowledge should not be hoarded. It is meant for circulation. Think of somebody in the past some of you must have born with cesarean section, and your mother may needed a blood at the time of delivery. So you must have run from pillar to post to obtain 1 unit of blood. Again it started. Malayali chechis make lot of noise. They get just time to start conversation. So it's very important. Once in a year, you make it a point. All of you are more than 18 years. No, 18. Plus 18, you should donate. Your hemoglobin should be good, and blood pressure and other things. Should not have suffered from any hepatitis in the past 3 months. You should go and donate the blood. The blood group, the autospecificity, there are self-antigens present on the human body. There are organs like brain, kidney, lens, proteins in different species. These are the sharing antigen between the mammals. There is something called Frostman antigen, antigenic sharing between the two group of the organisms. For example, Wheel-Felix test we do for rickettsial disease, Paul Bennell test for infectious mononucleosis, Epstein-Barr virus, and cold agglutination test we do for. So there are antigens which are called. Watch out. Still 1 minute is there. What will do after going from here? What will do after going from here? Books you are closing. Preparing to go.
No, sir.
So T cell antigen and P antigen. Okay, we'll continue in the tomorrow next Monday. Okay. Thank you very much. So it is available. I'll upload on the YouTube. Please, all of you subscribe YouTube. All of you go to the YouTube, put the subscribe button. Okay, all of you, 100. I should see 100 more subscription when I open next time. Today evening I'll upload this. Okay, thank you.